Have you ever looked at your bank account and wondered if you somehow subscribe to a lifetime membership called Broke Life Premium? You know that feeling. You work hard, you try to be responsible with your money, yet that magical six-figure savings goal feels as unreachable as winning an Olympic medal for procrastination. But here's what might surprise you. Reaching your first $100,000 isn't some exclusive dream reserved for trust fund kids or those lucky crypto millionaires who struck gold on Dogecoin. It's absolutely achievable and faster than most people think once you understand the psychology behind wealth building and start applying the right systems. Because the truth is, this milestone isn't just a random number in your bank account. It's the point where your money starts to work, where compound growth becomes a force multiplier that changes everything. At this stage, your money is working harder than your coworker who posts motivational quotes on LinkedIn every morning. And that's the magic of hitting your first $100,000. Once you reach it, the next $100,000 comes noticeably faster. My name is Mike, and this is Mike Compound, where we turn financial confusion into financial clarity. I've spent years breaking down the real mechanics of wealth, helping people escape the paycheck-to-paycheck loop and finally see progress that lasts. So if you're serious about transforming your finances, hit that subscribe button. Because what we're about to uncover could be the difference between financial freedom and wondering how you'll pay your bills at 70. Now, before diving into the strategies, let's face the uncomfortable truth. Most people approach saving money the same way they approach gym memberships on January 1st, full of enthusiasm and promises that fade by February. They tell themselves, this year will be different. But then life happens. Bills pile up, motivation drops, and old habits sneak back in. And here's the real issue. It's not about willpower. It's about the system you're using. If you tried to fill a bucket that has holes at the bottom, no matter how much water you pour in, you'd end up with nothing. That's what happens with most people's finances. They're earning, but they're not retaining. They're hustling, but not compounding. The wealthy understand something the average person misses completely. Building wealth isn't about cutting out every small joy or living like a monk. It's about making smart, consistent moves that stack up over time. Every dollar you save today is a soldier fighting for your financial freedom tomorrow. And when those soldiers multiply through compound growth, that's when the game changes. But here's the catch. You need to work smarter, not just harder. See, the average person thinks saving means cutting lattes or skipping avocado toast. Sure, those little savings add up, but they're not what builds real wealth. The true accelerators are your big decisions, how you handle taxes, housing, investing, and automation. Because when you focus only on the small stuff, you're missing the forest for the trees. The wealthy play the game on a different field. They optimize their systems. They automate. They eliminate friction. That's how they free up hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars every single month. Not by deprivation, but by design. Throughout this series, I'll walk you through a proven, psychology-backed roadmap to reach your first $100,000 faster than you ever thought possible. We'll tackle the mental traps that keep people broke, the tactical moves that boost your savings rate, and the smart habits that make wealth building automatic. But before we jump into the specific strategies, let's talk about why this milestone is so hard in the first place. Why does that first $100,000 feel like climbing Mount Everest, while the next $100,000 feels like coasting downhill? It's because, at the beginning, every dollar in your account comes from your sweat. You're doing all the heavy lifting. Every dollar saved means saying no to something else. You're building your financial house brick by brick. But once you hit that first $100,000, something changes. Your money starts building the house for you. That's when compound interest becomes your silent partner. When your returns start working as hard as you do. What used to be a few dollars in monthly interest suddenly becomes hundreds, even thousands in growth. That's the turning point. Warren Buffett's longtime partner Charlie Munger once said, "The first $100,000 is a buck, but you gotta do it." And he was right. It's the hardest because it's where you build momentum from zero. But once you do, everything accelerates. In the next part, we'll start breaking down the 9 strategies that can drastically shorten the journey to your first $100,000. Starting with one that could save you thousands of dollars a year without earning an extra dime. Let's start with strategy number 9, tax optimization. Now I know what you're thinking. Taxes? Really, Mike? That sounds boring. But here's the truth. Taxes are one of your biggest expenses, right up there with housing and food. Yet most people spend more time choosing their Netflix show than they do optimizing their taxes. And that's like walking into a store, seeing a 20% discount sign, and still paying full price just because you didn't bother to ask for the deal. Tax-advantaged accounts like traditional IRAs and 401ks are some of the most powerful tools you can use to build wealth. They give you an immediate return before your investments even have a chance to grow. Let's say you make $50,000 a year and contribute $10,000 to your 401k. You're only taxed on $40,000. That's an instant tax break, no waiting. If you're in the 22% tax bracket, that means every $1,000 you invest saves you $220 in taxes. You're only paying $780 out of pocket for every $1,000 going into your retirement account. And that's before compounding even starts. The government is literally offering you a discount on building your own future, yet most people ignore it because taxes are complicated. Here's the mindset shift. The tax system isn't your enemy. It's a game. And the people who win are the ones who learn how to play it strategically. Now moving on to strategy number 8, employer matching. This one is as close to free money as it gets. And yet millions of people leave it untouched every single year. If your employer offers to match a portion of your 401k contributions and you're not taking full advantage of it, you're literally walking past piles of cash every payday. Here's a simple example. Your company offers a 50% match up to 6% of your salary. If you make $50,000 a year, that's $3,000 of your own money, and your employer adds another $1,500 instantly. You just earned a 50% return before the stock market even gets involved. Show me any other investment that gives you that kind of guaranteed return on day one. You won't find it. The irony? People will spend hours hunting for coupon codes to save $10 online, but they'll ignore thousands of dollars in free contributions because they think they can't afford to save. The truth is, you can't afford not to. That match is part of your total compensation. If you don't take it, it's like telling your boss, no thanks, keep part of my paycheck. Now let's get to strategy number 7, creating additional income streams for investing. Notice I didn't say get a second job. I said create income streams. There's a big difference. Getting a second job trades more of your time for money. Creating new streams builds assets that keep paying you. Most financial advice says, live below your means. But here's a more empowering version. Expand your means while keeping your lifestyle the same. Instead of cutting joy from your current life, increase your income and direct that growth toward investing. This could mean starting a small online side business, freelancing your skills, offering consulting, or even monetizing a hobby. The key is that this new money never touches your everyday spending. It's money with a mission, and that mission is building wealth. When you separate your regular income from your investment income, something amazing happens. You start saving and investing aggressively without feeling deprived. It's like discovering a new paycheck that only your future self gets to enjoy. Now let's talk about strategy number 6, reinvesting dividends. This one tests your discipline. When that dividend hits your account, it's tempting to celebrate. It feels like free cash, money you earned just for being smart enough to invest. But the real magic isn't in spending that money. It's in reinvesting it. Every time you reinvest dividends, you're buying more assets that generate even more dividends. It's compound growth in its purest form, the snowball effect that gets bigger and faster with each rotation. Consider this. Over the last century, the S&P 500 has returned an average of about 10.7% with dividends reinvested, but only 6.6% without reinvesting them. That 4% difference might not sound like much, but over 30 years, it can mean the difference between retiring comfortably or not retiring at all. Reinvesting dividends requires patience. You're choosing long-term wealth over short-term pleasure. And that's the exact decision that separates the wealthy from everyone else. Finally, for this part, let's go into strategy number 5, minimizing investment fees. Investment fees are like termites eating away at your wealth, small, invisible, and relentless. Most people don't even realize how much they're paying. A 1% annual fee versus a 0.1% fee might seem trivial until you realize that over 30 years, that difference could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost returns. The fix? Choose low-cost index funds. They perform just as well, often better, than high-fee active funds, and you get to keep more of your gains. When you're building your first $100,000, every dollar counts. Paying more in fees for the same investment is like buying the same car for $5,000 more just because you didn't shop around. These first 5 strategies alone could save or earn you tens of thousands of dollars over the next few years. But the remaining ones? They'll protect you from mistakes that silently kill your momentum. In the next part, we'll uncover the 4 most powerful strategies that can make or break your journey, including the one that could literally add $500,000 to your future net worth. Let's continue with strategy number 4. Stop trying to time the market. This might be one of the hardest truths to accept, even for people who think they're financially savvy. The idea of buying low and selling high sounds brilliant on paper. But in real life, it's a losing game. Trying to time the market is like trying to predict which elevator will arrive first in a skyscraper during rush hour. Maybe you'll guess right once or twice, but over time, you'll just be frustrated and late to your destination. The data doesn't lie. Over the long term, the average investor who tries to outsmart the market underperforms the market itself, often by several percentage points a year. Why? Because they sell when fear peaks and buy when greed takes over. Here's a classic scenario. The market drops 10%, panic hits, and you sell to avoid further losses. But then it rebounds 20%, and you're stuck waiting for the perfect re-entry point that never comes. By the time you get back in, the recovery's already halfway done. You've missed the biggest days. And guess what? Those best days often happen right after the worst ones. If you missed just the 10 best trading days in the market over the past 30 years, your overall return would be cut nearly in half. That's right, half. That's why consistency beats timing. When you're building your first $100,000, your job isn't to be clever. It's to be consistent. Invest automatically, regularly, and let time and compounding do the heavy lifting. Moving on to strategy number 3, choosing the right investments. This is where a lot of beginners either freeze up or go overboard. Some dive headfirst into stock picking, thinking they'll discover the next Amazon. Others do nothing because they're afraid of making a mistake. Both paths lead to disappointment. The truth? You don't need to find the next big thing. You need to find a reliable thing. And that's where broad market index funds come in, especially those tracking the S&P 500. When you buy into an S&P 500 fund, you're not betting on one company. You're buying a tiny piece of 500 of the strongest, most profitable companies in the world. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and more. This is ownership in the backbone of American business. You're not gambling. You're partnering with progress itself. And the best part? You don't need to be a financial genius to make this work. You don't need to read quarterly reports or predict interest rates. You just need to buy consistently and hold for the long term. If you're young and have decades ahead, you can even lean slightly toward growth-oriented index funds. They're a bit more volatile, but volatility is your friend when you have time. It means more chances to buy at discounts. Now let's talk about strategy number 2, avoiding lifestyle inflation. This one destroys more financial dreams than any other. Lifestyle inflation happens when your spending grows as fast as your income. You get a raise, and instead of saving the extra money, you upgrade your car, your apartment, your vacations. Before long, your expenses have caught up with your paycheck again, and you're still stuck living month to month. Here's the harsh truth. Income growth doesn't automatically equal wealth growth. The wealthy make a different move. Every time they get a raise, they let their lifestyle stay the same and let their investments level up. That's why their wealth grows exponentially while others stay stagnant. Let's say you get a $10,000 raise. Instead of spending all of it, imagine investing half automatically, before you even see it hit your checking account. That's not deprivation, that's financial evolution. You're not punishing yourself, you're rewarding your future. And here's something most people miss. Studies show that beyond meeting basic needs, extra spending has diminishing returns on happiness. That shiny new car feels amazing for a few weeks, but soon it's just your normal ride. And those extra payments eat into your financial freedom. The wealthy understand that satisfaction doesn't come from upgrading lifestyle. It comes from upgrading choices. Finally, let's reach strategy number 1, optimizing your housing costs. This one is massive, because for most people, housing isn't just their biggest expense, it's the biggest anchor holding them back. If you're spending more than 30% of your income on housing, you're making it extremely hard to build wealth quickly. Between rent or mortgage, insurance, utilities, and maintenance, many people spend 40%, even 50% of their income just keeping a roof over their head. That's financial quicksand. But here's the good news. It's not set in stone. You have more flexibility than you think. Maybe you can downsize temporarily, move to a slightly cheaper area, or even explore house hacking, where you live in one part of a property and rent out the rest to cover most or all of your housing cost. Let's run the numbers. Suppose you're paying $2,000 a month now, but you find a way to cut it to $200. That's $800 a month saved, almost $10,000 a year. If you invest that money and it grows at 10% annually for 20 years, that single decision adds over $500,000 to your net worth. That's not cutting coffee. That's changing your future. In the next part, we'll connect all 9 of these strategies together and show how they form a compounding system that practically guarantees long-term wealth if you stay consistent. Now that you've seen the 9 strategies, let's connect the dots, because the real magic happens when you combine them. Each one might seem powerful on its own, but together they form a financial engine that builds unstoppable momentum. Think of it like this: taxes, employer matching, reinvested dividends, lifestyle control. Each of these is a gear in your wealth-building machine. When they turn in sync, compound growth accelerates beyond what most people ever experience. Let's start with taxes again. When you lower your tax bill through retirement accounts, you immediately free up money. That money goes into investments, maybe index funds, where it starts earning returns. If your employer matches your contribution, that doubles the starting capital. Then, as dividends come in, you reinvest them, adding more fuel to your portfolio. Meanwhile, you're minimizing fees so that every penny stays compounding inside your account. Now pair that with a stable mindset. You're no longer trying to time the market or panic sell during downturns. You're consistent, investing every month, no matter what. And because you've avoided lifestyle inflation, you're saving a bigger percentage of your income each year without feeling deprived. Finally, you top it all off by optimizing your housing costs, giving yourself an extra $500, $800, maybe even $1,000 per month to invest. Suddenly, your machine isn't just running, it's flying. Let's run a simple example to see this system in action. Imagine you start at zero, saving and investing $800 per month. $500 from your regular paycheck, and $300 from cutting housing and tax costs. You invest in a low-fee S&P 500 index fund that grows on average about 10% annually. In 1 year, you'll have around $9,600 saved. After 5 years, around $60,000. But after 10 years, thanks to compounding, you're looking at nearly $155,000. Notice that the second $50,000 came much faster than the first. That's compound growth at work. Your money now produces more money than your job alone. And this isn't just math, it's mindset. Once you hit that 6-figure milestone, you stop hoping money will grow. You start knowing it will, because you've seen it happen. Here's another perspective most people miss. When you reach $100,000 and your portfolio earns an average 10% return, you've essentially given yourself a $10,000 raise without doing any extra work. Your money has become an employee that never sleeps, never takes breaks, and works for you 24/7. That's what makes the first $100,000 so powerful. It's not just a financial goal, it's a psychological shift. And this system works, even if you don't have a high income, because it's not about how much you make. It's about how well you manage what you make. The average millionaire didn't start rich. Many began with modest salaries, but they mastered this compounding system and stuck to it long enough to see it snowball. Let's take a moment to contrast that with what most people do. Most people spend 40% of their income on housing, 20% on transportation, 20% on lifestyle, and then wonder why they can't save more than 5%. They think small, clipping coupons, skipping coffee, while ignoring the big levers that move the needle. The wealthy, on the other hand, think strategically. They don't chase every sale, they design systems that make saving automatic. They understand that wealth isn't built in one giant leap. It's built through small, repeatable choices compounded over years. And those choices, cutting housing costs, reinvesting dividends, avoiding high fees, automating investments, all build habits that work quietly in the background. The moment you stop relying on motivation and start relying on systems, everything changes. You no longer need to wake up every morning trying to save. Your setup does it for you. That's how real wealth is built, not through hype, but through automation. The beauty of this approach is that it doesn't require perfection. You don't need to invest every dollar perfectly, time the market correctly, or save half your paycheck from day one. You just need consistency, because consistency compounds. And here's the biggest lesson of all. The first $100,000 is about discipline. The next $100,000 is about momentum. The third is about mastery. Once you have the systems, the rest becomes automatic. In the final part, we'll tie everything together, not just financially, but emotionally. Because reaching that milestone isn't just about numbers. It's about freedom, mindset, and the kind of future you want to build for yourself. Here's the thing about these 9 strategies. They aren't random tips. They're a system. Each one amplifies the others, creating a compounding effect that transforms your financial trajectory. Tax optimization gives you more money to invest. Employer matching gives you free money to double your returns. Additional income streams create extra cash flow that fuels your investments. Reinvested dividends make your portfolio grow exponentially. Low investment fees protect your gains from silent erosion. Avoiding market timing keeps your strategy consistent through volatility. Choosing index funds simplifies the process while ensuring long-term performance. Avoiding lifestyle inflation makes sure your savings rate keeps rising. And optimizing housing costs, that's the big one, frees up the largest portion of your budget to accelerate all the rest. When you weave these together, wealth stops being something you chase. It becomes something you build automatically. Most people think building wealth is about luck, talent, or high income. It's not. It's about understanding leverage, how small, smart moves multiply over time. It's about consistency, patience, and the courage to stay the course when others panic or give up. When you reach that first $100,000, everything changes. Suddenly you see compound interest working. What used to be slow, steady progress becomes visible acceleration. Your savings grow faster, your investments snowball, and your mindset shifts from, how do I survive, to, how do I make my money work harder for me? That's the real power of this milestone. It's not just about numbers in a bank account, it's about identity. You stop being someone who's trying to save. You become someone who builds wealth. And here's the beauty of it. Once you've built the systems and discipline to reach your first $100,000, the rest takes care of itself. Because now, you're no longer starting from zero. You have momentum on your side. Warren Buffett often says, the snowball of wealth starts small. At first, you push hard and it barely moves, but as it rolls down the hill, it picks up snow. Faster, bigger, unstoppable. That's what happens after your first $100,000. The effort stays the same, but the results multiply. Now, let's be honest. Not everyone will take this path. Most people will continue to live paycheck to paycheck, buying things they don't need to impress people they don't even like, hoping one day their situation will magically improve. But that's not you. You've made it this far because you're willing to think differently, to take control instead of leaving it to chance. You're not waiting for a miracle. You're building one smart decision at a time. And here's what's really worth remembering. Every dollar you save and invest today is a small promise to your future self, a promise of freedom, security, and peace of mind. A promise that one day you'll wake up and realize your money is working harder than you ever did. Building wealth isn't about deprivation, it's about direction. It's about saying, I'm going to trade short-term comfort for long-term independence. Because when your investments start covering your bills, that's not just financial freedom, that's life freedom. And when that day comes, you'll look back and realize that the hardest part wasn't learning how to invest or budget or save, it was learning how to believe that it was possible for you. The first $100,000 isn't just money, it's proof. Proof that your decisions matter, that your effort compounds, and that your future is in your hands. So, start where you are. Use what you have. Build the system. Stick with it. And watch the results unfold. Because once you cross that 6-figure mark, you'll understand something most people never do. That financial freedom isn't a dream for other people. It's a skill, a system, and a mindset that anyone can learn, including you. If this message resonated with you, make sure to subscribe to Mike Compound, where we simplify money, investing, and financial growth so you can take control of your future. one smart decision at a time. Until next time, keep compounding, keep building, and remember, your future self is already thanking you.